diesel then in the seas, it was 2 cabinet secretaries who came out to state that the oil belonged to Galana Energies. Galana has hired the government. Over this same weekend, however, Busia Senator Honorable Kio Mtata tabled evidence of the government withdrawing 42,965,290,402 shillings from the consolidated fund without the authority of Parliament and spending it on what it called subsidies to private financial enterprises. The senator tabled evidence that in June 2023, at the closure of the financial year 2022-2023, the National established a link between the Kenya shilling 17 billion, which was unconstitutionally withdrawn from the consolidated fund in June 2023, to subsidize unnamed private financial enterprises, and the 17 billion shillings contested oil shipment between Mrs. Njeri and the 2 cabinet secretaries. I concur with Senator's suspicion that Njeri is the private financial enterprises funded by the Kenya shillings 17 billion illegally from the consolidated fund and received by the Ministry of Petroleum and Mining. The CS for Energy and Petroleum, Mr. Chirchir, and National Treasury, CES, Njuguna Ndungu, have certainly committed criminal offenses, abused office, and gone against the Constitution. They stole money from the consolidated fund in addition to spending money way above what Parliament approved. They must not only resign, they must also be prosecuted. I want to speak today both to the cartels and the executive, who it appears are joined at the hip. The oil firms, the National Assembly majority leadership, and the CS David Chirchir have talked of there being a G2G memorandum of understanding in this oil deal. Once again, I am asking that the document be shared with the public. This must be a document signed by a representative of the government of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates and the Republic of Kenya, not that of the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum and ADNOC Global Trading Limited or Emirates National Oil Company. Kenyans will have noticed that even as our Ministry of Energy and Petroleum was signing deals with state-owned corporations in the Middle East, our own National Oil Corporation is completely left out. NOC has a legal mandate to participate in all aspects of the petroleum industry and is only owned by the government of Kenya through a joint ownership by the ministry responsible for the petroleum function. How does Chirchir explain the exclusion of this corporation in favor of private shady firms? If he was signing, he should have signed with the minister. Is equivalent on the other side. But those companies are the ones who should sign with the NOC, not the minister. We also know that for a ship to leave one port for another, loaded with goods, it has to get a letter from the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum indicating that the ship is authorized to carry and offload the cargo in Kenya? Who cleared the Njeri ship to travel to Kenya? How did it offload? Over the weekend, we were told that the deal has resulted in so-called structured sourcing of the dollar. If that is the case, why has the exchange rate not improved? How come it has not lowered the cost of oil? What benefits have the so-called structured sourcing of the dollar brought to wananchi? We are being told that since the deal, you have stopped paying for oil in dollars. We believe that Kenyans don't care whether oil is paid for in dollars, shillings, or rupee. They care about the cost of oil. Nonetheless, we are challenging the government to share with Kenyans evidence of payment of oil in Kenya shillings. Show us documents indicating when the payment was made in Kenya shillings, the bank accounts, and the recipients of the payment. This regime has told Kenyans so many fictitious stories that only documentary evidence will help the country separate fact from fiction. The oil companies and the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum have claimed that it is easy to verify that corporate tax is being paid by the oil companies. We agree that this shouldn't be a difficult task. So we are asking these firms to table the evidence of meeting the corporate tax obligations. Don't tell us, show us. We hope the Kenya Revenue Authority is listening to our demand for evidence of corporate tax compliance by Oryx, Galana, and Gulf oil companies. The Ministry of Energy and Petroleum must also table the supplier purchase agreement in this deal. If the deal was to benefit Kenyans, its details should not be hidden from them. In subsequent comments on this matter since last Thursday, I have questioned why the Director General of the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority, Mr. Daniel Kiptoo, could go to the Middle East, participate in the oil negotiation, and then come back to Nairobi to regulate the prices. How can EPRA be a player and a referee at the same time? Where is the ethics and professionalism in this? How can this be in compliance with the Public Officer Ethics Act? We are still waiting for answers. When Kenya signed this deal, we had the regional markets, especially that of Uganda, in mind. The Gulf nations of Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates were definitely aware that we import for the region. This in itself makes it impossible that we could have had a G2G. Whatever the case, we want to know what happens to the oil we intended for Uganda and onward markets. Are we going to be stuck with and forced to buy it at the old high prices while costs are falling elsewhere? Is that the reason Tanzania's has gone down while ours stay unchanged? Are we stuck with old prices because the negotiators already locked the prices and the oil is coming in the quantities that was agreed on in March? So many things still do not make sense, despite the massive space bought by the oil companies to explain themselves and the effort of the government to fool and confuse Kenyans. In light of this development, I am today calling on some 3 specific institutions that are paid by the Kenyan taxpayer to exercise their mandate and get to the bottom of this saga as follows. First, the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority. This is an institution under the chairmanship of a distinguished scholar, Honorable Justice Professor Jackton B. Ojwang, has the primary duty to protect the people of Kenya from predatory practices. Indeed, it is given protection in the course of its work through a legally mandated independence. Section 9(3) of the Energy Act says, except as otherwise provided in this Act, the authority shall be independent in the performance of its functions, exercise of its powers, and shall not be subjected to the direction or control of any person or authority. Under the Ruto regime, EPRA has been reduced to being a price fixer and to enable predators in the government to exploit Kenyans by overcharging them for petroleum products. Section 10 of the Energy Act gives the authority the duty, among others, to monitor in consultation with the competition authority conditions of contractors' operations and their trade practices, investigate complaints or disputes arising from the petroleum operations, ensure enforcement and compliance with the national values and principles, protect consumer, investor, and other stakeholder interests. The challenge is now on its chairman to rise up to the true mandate of the authority and investigate the following. 1. Violation of consumer rights under the Bill of Rights in the G2G arrangement. 2. Transparency of fuel contracts signed by all parties in the alleged G2G arrangement. 3. Criminal collusion through price fixing and other corrupt trade practices in the G2G arrangement. 4. The controversy surrounding the dispute between Galana Energies Limited and Anjeri Njoroge. The second institution we are challenging is the Office of the Auditor General. Since her appointment, the Auditor General, CPA Nancy Gathungu, has displayed courage in her approach to duty. We are calling upon her to execute her mandate in this matter and investigate the following. 1. The procurement processes engaged in by the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum in recruitment of suppliers and their local agencies. 2. The criteria applied by the G2G arrangement in arriving at the prices at which Kenya is to buy fuel. 3. The criteria applied by the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority in arriving at the prices the Kenyan consumer shall buy petroleum products. 4. The criteria applied in the G2G arrangement in arriving at the demurrage and other levies and charges. The third institution which we are calling out is the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. Some minutes. We take note that Chairman Bishop David Oginde and the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission have been silent about the goings on in the petroleum sector. Allegations of corruption have been made, but no investigations have begun. The challenges on the chairman to start working on the matters raised to investigate the following. 1. Conflict of interest by government officials in the alleged G2G arrangement. 2. bribery and commissions and kickbacks from revenues raised by the G2G arrangement, through price fixing and other corruption and violation of procurement local agencies. Once again, we reiterate that we stand by every word that we have said on this oil deal. We will not relent on this matter until the truth is known and punishment that fits the crime is meted out. In the meantime, heads must roll at the Energy Ministry and National Treasury. End of statement. Good.
Okay. We can leave it there. There's a pressing issue? None.
No question.
There was no question.
Satisfied.
Leto nchini itachangia kupunguza kwa bei ya mafuta. Kwa upande wako una matumaini kwamba bei hiyo itashushwa chini? Kisha cha pili, Rais pia amesema kwamba kama kuna ithibati kuhusiana na madai ambayo kwa sasa unaibua, weke wazi. Asante.
Rais aliongea jana juu ya bei ya mafuta, lakini sisi tunaongea juu ya mafuta ambayo tayari iko hapa. Yeye mwenyewe anajua ati matangi zimejaa na mafuta kwa sababu Uganda imekataa kuchukua hiyo mafuta kwa sababu bei yake iko juu. Sasa hiyo mafuta ambayo nasema ni tayari iko hapa, tunasema bei itashuka chini. Sababu gani bei hiyo haishuki chini wakati huu? Mbona nangoja mpaka mwezi ujao? Haya yote katika hiyo statement ambayo mimi nimetoa, nimesema mambo mengi zaidi. Nimeongea juu ya vile hii mafuta yenyewe ilikuja hapa. Kwanza walisema, na hata yeye jana alikariri, ati hii ni serikali na serikali, yani G ni government to government. Lakini ile makaratasi ambayo nasema ziko hata mbele ya bunge ni karatasi ambayo zimewekwa sahihi na bwana Chirchir kwa upande hii, lakini ngambo ile hakuna waziri upande ile ambaye ameweka sahihi. Hiyo sio G2G. G2G must be government to government. Tumesema yeye ameweka sahihi na makampuni pale. Tumesema kama ingekuwa sawa, tuko na kampuni vile vile hapa Kenya ya serikali inaitwa National Oil Corporation ambayo ilingeweka sahihi na hiyo kampuni ya Saudi Arabia na hizo kampuni nyingine ya Emirates, sio waziri wa serikali ya Kenya. Kwanza hiyo ninasema ni ukweli, yale ambayo nasema hiyo ni uongo, sio kweli. Hiyo ni uongo, sio kweli. Kwa nini wamewacha kampuni ya serikali hapa, alafu anakwenda kuchukua makampuni zingine ya binafsi kama Oryx, kama Galana, kama Gulf? Kitu gani, shida gani iko na kampuni yetu ya NOC hapa? NOC imepata kiniwi kimi siku gani? Ili Israeli ikaweka sahihi. Ndio kwa sababu hawa jamaa wenyewe walienda ngambo ile na wanapata rushwa kupitia hiyo makampuni ambayo wameweka hapa. Tena wananiambia mimi ati makampuni ya mafuta amenijibu. Katika taifa letu hapa makampuni makubwa ya mafuta ni Vivo, ni Shell, ni Total. Hawa hawajanijibu. Wao wenyewe wanaumia. Uliza hao, mimi nafanya biashara na makampuni ya mafuta. Wanaumia wote. Wana shida. Kwa sababu hawa makampuni mengine yamewekwa hapo katikati ndio wamefanya biashara na hawa makatels. Bwana Chirchir, na mimi nataka kutoa shukrani kwa watu wa Bomet kumonyesha ya adabu. Manake hajui adabu vile wa Kenya wana shida. Vile wana shida zaidi na hawa watu wote. hata bwana Ruto wanampatia ile tu heshima, lakini hawakukubali ile alikuwa anasema. Anachukua nasema uongo. Haitakikani mtu ambaye anajiita rais awe kila mara akitoka na usimamo namna hii anasema uongo. Sema ukweli. Ukweli haiozi. Na ukweli kidhihiri, uongo ujitenga. Nikujibu. Shukran.